All right, this is going to be an interesting one. Um, I will say this. I want to preface this video with one thing. I have friends that are in the LGBTQIA plus community. Um, Now, this video is not meant to offend anyone. It's not meant to hurt anyone. I do consider all people image bearers of God, worthy of dignity, love, and respect. Um, Sometimes that word to be made in the image of God often gets misconstrued about the idea about God makes us with certain sexualities, and that's not what it really means. But look, before I get into the idea of how to witness to this community, I first like to establish a couple things. First things first, don't hate anyone. I do love people. As I said, they're worthy of dignity, love, and respect. Um, and also, I also don't like to misrepresent anyone. So first and foremost, I will shorten the acronym from LGBTQIA+, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex, questioning, asexual, and more. If I've missed anything there, I do apologize. Um, at gaycenter.org, that's the way that they define that. And for the sake of this video and for the sake of you not having to suffer me say that acronym over and over again, I will just shorten it to LGBT. Um, Now, the thing is this. I don't want to misrepresent anyone. I make a point of trying to understand people's worldview, to understand who they are. And I think sometimes we misconstrue other people's position, and that's what gets people on the defensive. So the first things first, when it comes to the LGBTQ community, um, it's very important to understand how they see themselves, what their worldview is, and really they come from a perspective where they don't want to be subjugated to bigotry or hate. That they should be free to be who they are, free to love one another. And you see, even when it comes to the word pride, we understand the way Christians see pride. Christians view pride as one of the seven deadly sins. But it'd be silly and foolish of the Christian to think that the LGBT community views that the same way. And from a Christian perspective, C.S. Lewis summed up the word pride in a very eloquent quote, is that through pride, the devil became the devil. Pride leads to every vice. It's the complete anti-God state of mind. And a lot of that has to do because Christianity is based on humility, which is the opposite of pride. But that's not the way the LGBT community sees it. They look at pride more in a libertarian sense, in the idea that they're free to love who they want to love, free to be who they want to be, because they're made in the image of God. That's how they see that. You see, the link between Christian community and the LGBT community is love, and how we view it and how we define it, what kind of value that we hold it to be. You see, I believe that the most effective method when witnessing to LGBT is the presuppositional method. The idea that it's defined as that all truth, meaning, logic, and reason presupposes the God of the Bible. The moment you engage in rational thought and reasoning and use the laws of logic or any objective value, you're engaging in with God, and because that directly comes from Him. See, that's a strange concept. The idea of the transcendental, the idea that there's certain objective values that come directly from God that transcend this universe. Um, and I know it's a difficult concept to grasp, and I will get into it in this video. But it's important when witnessing to understand the person that you're speaking to, their position and the way they see the world. Now, here's the thing: we grow up. My generation and probably the generation before as well is really growing up in a secular education system. The idea that we're evolved bacteria and what have you, universal common descent, Darwinism, and that's fine if you do hold those views. But with that said, there's certain things about us that are inherently transcendental, right? That the idea that there's certain qualities in our life, even the idea of morality and logic, these transcendental concepts, they don't come from us, they come from something higher. And we already distinguish ourselves from the animal kingdom in so many ways. So you remember when I said that the link between LGBT and Christianity is love and how we view it? See, from an LGBT perspective, that will say, well, who are you? Who are you to judge us on who we want to love? What's wrong with love? Loving someone and sharing a life with them, and in some ways, it is a powerful argument to go up against. But here's the thing: you sort of can't sort of have your cake and eat it too. And what I mean by that is that humans are inherently judgmental. Why? It's because we recognize the transcendental nature of morality. Same thing when it comes to logic, which we'll get to. For example, if I were to suggest that a lion eating a baby buffalo, is that wrong? Most people, if not, I wouldn't say all people, but it would make it quite clear that that's not wrong, that's natural. I mean, that's just objectively true. Why would that a lioness or a lion killing a baby buffalo be wrong? It's just natural. It's the way the animal kingdom works. But if we were to say that about an adult doing that to a child, then we would say that's evil. Automatically, right then and there, we've made a distinction between animals and us. There's something that we recognize as objectively true. We're naturally judgmental when it comes to the world and how we engage in it. The idea that morality is objectively true. Now, we often misconstrue that and think that it comes from us. But the question is this: there's a variety of forms of love that even the LGBT community doesn't condone. So remember, the argument would be is who are you, from a Christian perspective, if you were to witness to them and say that that their form of love is immoral, the question that you would come with is, who are you to judge? And that's a fair question to ask. We've got to be able to answer that. See, the thing is this, though, is that, as I said, the LGBT community judges as well when it comes to love. There's a whole variety of forms of love that they wouldn't accept. For instance, love between brother and sister, Targaryen style, Game of Thrones. Ooh, right? There's also adultery, cheating on your partner, falling in love with someone else. That's wrong. Even love between an adult and a child. The list goes on. The thing is, on what basis does the LGBT community disavow or condemn that form of love? Why? See, that's the dangerous part when it comes to morality. We can't hold certain aspects of our day-to-day living as objectively true and simultaneously say it's a human convention. We can't say that, that love is transcendental, yet at the same time it comes directly from us, so I get to decide. That's even the idea of the Adam and Eve story, the idea of being able to judge for oneself. The difficult thing is submission to a greater authority than you. You don't want to wear the title of moral arbiter of the universe, but we do that when we take God out of the picture. And see, even the idea of logic, the moment that we engage in reasoning, in rational thought with one another, we're making a claim to truth. See, a lot of the time in the LGBT community, in that worldview, it has been affected quite heavily by the postmodern world. The postmodern worldview really, KJ Hart actually has a good quote. It's anti-realism, anti-foundationalism, anti-essentialism. It really is, for instance, an anti-God state of mind in the idea that it defies the laws of logic and non-contradiction. You can hold two opposing worldviews. Let me rephrase. You can hold two opposing views that are true at the same time. For instance, I'm here and I'm not here. That can be true. Even the idea of my body, my choice. When it comes to abortion, we have sovereignty over someone's body. No one can tell us what to do. But then you can be pro-vaccine mandate. See, the idea of logic is that we recognize truth. We crave it. The idea of truth, beauty, goodness. These concepts are transcendental. And it's the idea that when we engage in reasonable discussion with one another, we are using logic, but it is a intangible, immeasurable concept. We know it's there. We reason with one another when we do it. We're doing it right now. We're engaging in a discussion, but it's not something that is measurable. It's not something that is observable. You see, even the idea of truth is transcendental. Christ claimed to be truth incarnate. Um, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You see, that's a bold claim in and of itself. But the idea that logic is transcendental, and the idea that when we engage in rational thought, we're engaging with a concept that is intangible. We know it to be true, but we can't see it. You know, I had someone that recently, uh, you know, saw my Instagram page and knows that I'm a believer and thought, oh, this person's crazy. This person's a Looney Tune. How do you even think this is true? And so I asked, how do you measure something to be true? And she goes, oh, well, what I can see, touch, feel. You know, it's basically the scientific method. What is observable, what is measurable, replicable, that they know to be true. But I said, you need logic to do that, right? Can you measure those things? Can you observe those things? See, a lot of people say that logic, the objection to logic being an objective value, a transcendental concept, is that it's a human convention. And there's actually a good video of Dr. Frank Turek engaging with someone about this, about the idea that logic doesn't need humanity in order for it to be true, because logic applies to the laws of logic apply in Mars where there are no humans. It applies to Earth when there was no humans and there was only rocks. So the thing is this: the question really remains when you're witnessing to LGBT is does God exist? You have to remember as well that you have to engage when witnessing, with Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit brings the people to you. You don't want to force your views on someone, but when you get people that are generally asking questions, when they're engaging in thoughtful discussion, there will be an opportunity to plant a seed. Faith is a gift. And the thing is this, is that there is a variety of forms of love that the LGBT community disavow, they condemn. They hold objective values to be true, but you can't call them objective and then simultaneously say that they come from you. That's a contradiction. We know there's certain values that are objectively true. For instance, the idea that, it's wrong to kick a grandma in the knees. In every culture, in every time, in every place, we know that to be absolutely true. There is the existence of universal truth. That's what an objective value is. So when witnessing to the LGBT community, they recognize these things because they're transcendental. They feel them. But we misconstrue them. Even Christians do sometimes. They misconstrue them, that they think they come from us, but they come from something higher. The question is that if there is something higher than you, if there is a greater power, should you get to know him? Should you want to know him? There's a lot of people that know God exists and choose not to follow him. There's a lot of people that know God exists and are angry with him. And that's the thing when it comes to Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit does the converting. Holy Spirit gives the gift of faith. God is the one that converts someone, not you. So it's important that to love people, it's important to show kindness and consideration and show the hope that dwells in you, and bring a defense of the faith that we know to be true, and reason with people when doing so. It's very important when witnessing to people. It's not the idea about proving them wrong. It's the idea with the presuppositional method is that they live as though God is real already. They need him in order to make sense of their reality when they engage in the transcendental with objective values that are universally true. It can't be universally true and come from you. So if God exists, that's the question. When witnessing, just let them know that God is real. God is he loves them. He wants them to follow him. The idea is you can't love someone you don't know. So when witnessing to them, be loving, be kind, show them that God is real. He's there, more than they ever thought possible, and do it with kindness, and do it with love, and do it with the power of the Holy Spirit. Thanks for watching.